What's going on, football fans and BLV betters? It's Mitch back here with another week of my over-under picks, this time for week 10 of the 2023 NFL season. Every week, I go over or under on every total across the NFL and give you my pick for every single total of this 2023 NFL season. Let's check in on how we're doing this year. Actually, last week was a good week. Believe it or not, my picks over or under last week were better than my straight up picks. I went 9-5 on my over under selections, only 7-7 straight up. That's kind of not my best week, kind of embarrassing. But in terms of over unders, pretty good. We're getting better. First season ever picking every single game over or under. 76, 57, and 3 is the total record so far. Looking to continue that success in this week number 10. If that sounds good, Gronk, spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already for NFL best bets, NFL picks, and covering all 32 teams all year long here on the Bottom Line View. Also, let me know in the comment section below, guys, your best bet for the over or the under this week, and which unders do you like, which overs do you like, which teams in general are you betting when it comes to overs or unders? Let me know in the comment section. Get that conversation started, and let's begin with Thursday Night Football, which you guys have probably already seen and already know the result. I'm not going to spend too much time. Primetime unders have been ridiculous this year, so for me to fade that is just me being not very smart. I'm not going to do it. I'm going under 38, under 38 and a half. I just feel like with these two quarterbacks, Bagent, Bryce Young, there's not going to be a lot of points scored. I don't even really need to go into the defenses. But one defense that I do feel has improved is Chicago's. I do think with Montez Sweat in there, Jalen Johnson in the secondary, Chicago's defense getting a little bit better. We saw Carolina, when they're not throwing the ball to the other team for touchdowns, Bryce Young, they actually played a really low-scoring game against C.J. Stroud and the Texans. I see something similar to that, where both teams are fighting to get the first to 20. So I'm going under 38.5 on Thursday night. Now to the European game in Germany. We have the New England Patriots, my New England Patriots, although I don't know how proud I am to say that right now, versus the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going under because it's a New England Patriots game. I don't really care. The Patriots offense is really bad, and I don't see them moving the ball that well against any opponent in the NFL. They couldn't do it against Washington at home. I don't see it happening in Germany. New England's defense and Indianapolis's defense have both been a bit up and down and inconsistent. So maybe this goes over just because both defenses don't show up. I'm a little scared of the Patriots in terms of the locker room situation right now, which is a reason to fade them this week. But I also view Indy as a team that offensively, this is a team with a quarterback in Gardner Minshew that Belichick should be able to figure out. Stop the run, get one of your better corners to cover Michael Pittman, and you should be okay. But overall, I do view this as an under because New England's been good against the run, which is Indianapolis's offense. And New England's offense is just really bad. So Indy should have no problem stopping them in Germany. Next, I'm going under 39 on the Packers and the Steelers. It's a Steelers game in Pittsburgh versus Jordan Love. If Jordan Love could barely move the ball or hit a deep out versus the Los Angeles Rams, it's absolutely terrifying to watch both of these offenses perform on a weekly basis. Matt Canada is awful. Matt LaFleur's offense isn't much better. Not much else has to go into this one. Just blindly take the under. It's the Steelers at home and their defense, and Cameron Hayward's back. Next, you've got 41 of the Saints and the Vikings. I think this is a sneaky over candidate. What I like about this is I like games in Minnesota to go over quite often. For whatever reason, there's some voodoo in that building. Games tend to be high scoring. Secondly, Josh Dobbs is a mobile quarterback who can run. The Saints struggle against running quarterbacks. They have over the past few years. We've seen Jalen Hurts attack them. We've seen even Tyson Bagent attack them on the ground last week, looking like prime Michael Vick. So I feel like Josh Dobbs' mobility is going to be able to extend plays, maybe some designed runs out of Kevin O'Connell. I think there's a trickery to it where teams don't necessarily know what O'Connell's offense is going to look like with Josh Dobbs, the pastronaut. I also feel like the offensive line of the Vikings can block the Saints. And then on the other side, the Vikings are a blitz-heavy team, which I do think will impact Derek Carr, but I also think Carr will make some throws because he'll have matchups on the outside, one-on-one that he can attack. And then once they've gotten to the red zone, I feel like the Saints' offense has improved because they're adding Taysom Hill into that red zone package. So I like the over in this game. 41 seems way too low. Next, 38.5 for the Tennessee Titans in Tampa Bay. I think this is another sneaky over. 38.5 feels too low for the Bucs and the Titans. I actually feel like the Titans have a lot more explosiveness with Will Levis at quarterback that leads to volatility. I think that he can throw picks, but I also feel like he'll throw big 60-yard bombs, 40-yard bombs, and be explosive against a Tampa team that's going to be aggressive. They want to stop the run, and they want to blitz. And if they don't get there, I think that the Titans will be able to beat them down the field. So I could see some big plays coming out of Tennessee. I could also see Tampa Bay moving the football through the air. Baker looked really good against Houston. He's back home here. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are two guys that I think will have matchups on the outside against Tennessee, and kind of underwhelming pass defense that is a bit of a pass funnel. I think Tampa Bay will move the ball through the air as well. So I could see this going over, both teams kind of shockingly getting to the 20s in this game. Next, 38 is the total for the Browns and the Ravens. I'm going under here. Reason for that is Deshaun Watson versus the Baltimore defense on the road with neither of his starting tackles. I don't have to say any much more when it comes to this game. Like, Deshaun Watson is terrible, one of the worst quarterbacks in the league this year, super inefficient, holds on to the ball. The Ravens lead the league in sacks. I think they're probably the best defense in the NFL. And if they're not the best defense, Cleveland's the best. Both of these teams play in this game. It should be an under unless the Ravens put up like 30 by themselves. So I'm going to go with the under here. Next, 45 is the total for the Niners and the Jags. Niners defense has been caught in question as of late. Will they bounce back post the bye week? I think there's a chance. Chase Young added to that defensive line will create a lot of pressure on Trevor Lawrence. One of the weaknesses of the Jags is their offensive line. So that's something to look out for. I also feel like the Niners, they're playing a team that is good against the run, which is what they typically like to do, forcing Brock Purdy to beat them more. And I feel like whenever that happens, the Niners tend to not score as many points for whatever reason. Not because they don't move the ball really effectively, but they just aren't able to maybe get the ball in the end zone quite as often. A lot of that has been fluky as of late against Cleveland, against Minnesota, against the Bengals. Their offense looked really good for at least 3 quarters, and then for whatever reason, they weren't able to fully put up the output that they were early in the year. Now they'll have Debo back. Trent Williams could be back as well, but it's in Jacksonville, right? The defense is pretty underrated. I think there's some reason to go under here with a bounce back from San Francisco and the way that Jacksonville's defense is playing. So I'm going to lean towards the under, but I do feel like San Francisco can find a way to get to about 24 points. I'm just not sold that both of them will get in that range. I kind of feel like this is a 24-17 type of game for the 49ers. Could be maybe a little bit better in terms of the points scored by Jacksonville, but I don't know, man. This is an interesting game. This is an either way one. I'm going to slightly lean towards the under, but I don't have a strong feeling on that one. Next, 44, the Atlanta Falcons and the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to go over. Kyler Murray's back in Arizona. Arizona's a funky stadium and place to play. Opponents often come out slow. I could see that happening here. But Atlanta's also a team that's been moving the ball as of late and scoring points as of late. And I could see that happening once again against a pretty bad Arizona defense that I don't think is going to have many answers for Atlanta's power running game. So I'm going to go over in this game with Kyler Murray going beep, beep, Roadrunner style, and the Atlanta Falcons running the football, hopefully with Bijan Robinson, but nothing is guaranteed. Next, 45.5, the Seattle Seahawks and the Washington Commanders like the over here. I think the Seahawks defense is slightly overrated. I also feel like the Washington Commanders offense is slightly underrated. And I do feel like Washington is a good passing offense. They use a lot of volume in the passing offense, which means more attempts. And that also means it stops the clock more often, which extends games and leads to more points. I also feel like Seattle's offense is due for a bounce back performance against a bad Washington defense that's better against the run than the pass. They don't get much of a pass rush without Chase Young and Montez Sweat, and their corners are not good. They just look good against New England because New England has no receivers. So I think Geno, Lockett, Metcalf, those guys get going in this game at home. Next, 38.5 for Dallas and the Giants. I have to go under unless Dallas scores 40 here by themselves. I just don't know if the Giants will score a single point. So I'm going to go under. Next, 47 is the Houston Texans and the Cincinnati Bengals. I lean towards the under only because the Stroud splits at home and on the road. 11 touchdowns to 1 interception at home for Stroud, which inflates the numbers once he goes on the road. 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions on the road. So meaning he doesn't turn the football over, but he also doesn't score a lot of points. So that's a big factor for Cincinnati. Nico Collins could be out. T. Higgins could be out. Just feels like a high total with playmakers missing. Cincinnati's defense really good in the red zone, forcing field goals. And then I just feel like Cincinnati kind of takes their foot off the gas in the fourth once they're up comfortably. Like it feels like they could have put up 30, 34 against the Bills, but they only put up like 24. And that was because they didn't really need to. So that's just the vibe I get here. Under. Next, 48.5 Detroit Lions and the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm going over for the fun of it, right? Herbert maybe a little bit overrated right now with this offense and post Mike Williams, but Detroit's defense can be passed on. We've seen that against good quarterbacks. I don't see that really being stopped. Like, I feel like Detroit is a good run defense. They have questionable pass defense. I think Herbert at home in a good environment should be able to move the ball. And then Detroit, I just don't see them being stopped here. Their offensive line should block Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. Jared Goff should have time. They have matchups on the outside. They should be able to run the ball. Like, Detroit should put up 30. The only question is, okay, will the Chargers put up in the mid-20s? I think so. So I think Detroit and the Chargers go over 48.5 in a fun one. Next, Sunday Night Football. We're going to go under 36, primetime under. Once again, Raiders, Jets, 2 of the worst quarterbacks in football right now. Zach Wilson, Aiden O'Connell. Jets have an elite defense, and the Raiders have an underrated defense. There's also a big mismatch for Max Crosby in this game, playing some guy named Mitchell, who absolutely stinks. You might have saw that on Monday Night Football. I'm going under 36. And Monday Night Football, the Denver Broncos, the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to go over 47. This is a high total, but for a reason. Broncos offense, I feel like coming out of the bye week, they're going to run the ball against the Bills effectively. I think that's going to lead to play action. I think Russell Wilson can make a few throws every game. We've seen that this year. And Sean Payton should be well scouted against this Bills defense coming out of that bye. And then Bills, I mean, it's Josh Allen, right? And yeah, Denver's defense has been playing better as of late, but this is Josh Allen at home on a primetime spot. You got to expect he's going to score some points. So I'm going to go over. I think this is like a 30-23 type of game. So yeah, let's go over on Monday Night Football. There it is, guys. My over-under picks for week number 10. Let me know yours in the comment section below. Gronk, spike the like button, and don't forget to subscribe. Good luck this week. It's Mitch. Peace.